I finally finished Genesis. It was interesting. Like, the whole thing was just absolutely interesting, because I realized I don't know a lot. Actually, what I thought I knew as a Christian, because sometimes in school we also had like books that we were reading as education, and then there were also times in Sunday school I thought I actually knew Genesis. Turns out I don't know Genesis. Actually, there were so many things that I didn't know about the time of Abraham, Adam, Eve, Noah, and all these guys. Like, I didn't know a lot of things, surprisingly. It was nice. And I was very shocked at how some chapters took only 5 minutes to read, because I don't know why I assumed chapters, like reading a chapter a day is impossible because it's so long, there's so much to read and so much to see. I think because I'm just reading and not really taking notes down, because I'm hoping that when I'm done with the first full circle I can come back again, to sort of dive into it again, because it is such an interesting thing to go and actually decide to read firsthand for yourself. Honestly, I realized there's so much that I didn't know about Genesis. But anyway, it was nice. I didn't know about the giants. I had heard about it, but I didn't know there were giants. There's a lot of interesting stuff to look around there. I even went on to see people's videos on YouTube as to the storyline behind the giants. There are so many myths out there about it. There's also movies about it. People, of course, sort of made it into their own work too. So it was very interesting seeing the perspective of what's in the Bible and what's not. But it was pretty interesting. And yeah. I also wanted to know why there was a chapter that was dedicated to just showing us the lineage. I've seen people on actually TikTok and YouTube talk about the lineage, why there's just a chapter talking about the lineage and hierarchy of the people in Genesis and their children and their children's children. I also was I'm yet to find out what that is about, but of course I don't know, this is just my personal opinion. I don't think there's anyone who could ever know fully everything in the world except God. So I hope he gives us the wisdom to understand some of those things. But I wasn't reading to sort of nitpick every little thing. I'm interested and I want to read the whole thing, so I am just going to read the whole thing, because I realized there's a lot of stuff I don't know, or a lot of stuff I assumed I knew about a certain thing, a certain person, a certain value in the Bible, that I'm turning to realize that I should have just read the Bible for myself instead of hearing what a lot of people have to say online. And I was amazed to find out that, there's also a section where some people didn't even die. They just ascended. I don't even know what that means, so I will get to it. But it was nice. I was also very shocked, because in my head, I always thought Abraham was Abraham, Sarah was Sarah. But turns out they used to be called Sarah without the H and Abram, which was pretty interesting to find out. And I also heard about situations where people were talking about there were 3 men who visited Abraham in chapter 18, and they were with God, or were God. So that is a very confusing part. I'm yet to also dive into it and see what that actually means. Regardless, it seems that there's a lot of stuff that we don't know, because I don't want to sort of dive into it like I'm an expert. I just got here. So I am not going to be saying things that I do not know or understand, but it'll be nice if someone who does understand or know can share. It'll be interesting. It made me sort of question, I originally knew that maybe, I don't know, maybe God does walk among us, or he is walking among us, because I've seen so many instances where I have read or heard people say different stories where it showed that he was among us, even though he's not among us. I don't want to get too deep into it, but it made me realize that from a different perspective after reading some of the stories in Genesis. And I also sort of find out that there was a lot of in-house marriage, like family members like getting married, because the timeline was so crazy back in Genesis. I need to find out how far back that was, BC, before Christ came. I'm so curious to find out, because nowadays it's like such a taboo, but like back then it was normalized. So I'm going to see throughout as I read, like how that stopped and stuff like this, out of curiosity. And it seemed that in Genesis, a lot of people were receiving information from God through their dreams, and whenever they were resting. And it made me realize, like, there's so many times when we dream and we don't know much of the stuff we dream. And it's actually fascinating to see how much people communicated to God in dreams. And nowadays we just think, like, most of the time, well, for me, when I'm dreaming, most of the stuff doesn't make sense. And it's kind of like, I think it's just the movies I'm watching or the shows I'm watching. That's what I think most of the time. So it was kind of fascinating to see that. Actually, there's so much to see. Even during like Noah's segment, like I read a lot. Going over to Jacob and Esau, it was it was interesting. There's a lot, actually. I could go on, but it was fun. Genesis was actually interesting and fun. Rachel and Leah, that was exciting, actually. And there's more. I was also researching some of the people, like because I had stories that I already know, because I've read some parts of the Bible before. So when you find out some information from the past, like in Genesis, I tend to want to just quickly search it up, see if it was linking or it's all in my head. And it was so nice to find out that there's some stuff that links from the not future books, more like from the other books in New Testament and in the Old Testament that were linking to what happened in Genesis. It was interesting. I also felt like there was a lot of timestamps that I didn't understand, and I'm yet to find out, because I don't think I don't want to say what my opinions are, because it might get very controversial, but I'm so glad that I did this, and I can't wait to get into Exodus and see what's going on. And actually, I would recommend this. I realized there's a lot of stuff that I was only intaken from a lot of other people from church and online without even checking for myself. So it was pretty interesting. And yeah, let's see what Exodus has to offer me. Well, if anyone is also, taking this journey in the future or now, I wish you all the best. And I hope you don't stop. Anywho, bye.